Morning. I should say good afternoon. So for those of you in the UK, I am here in Louisiana. The trip is nearly coming to a close here in the US, and I will be home this time next week, back in the UK. So brace yourself, United Kingdom. We're going to talk about how do you build a personal brand for a little bit. I've been meeting lots and lots of people on the road here, and they've asked me lots and lots of questions about building personal brand. And when I'm back home doing events and speaking, I get lots of people asking about personal brand. And the problem is there is so much conflicting advice about what a personal brand is or isn't and how to build one, that it leaves people kind of stuck and lost on going, what the hell do I do? And this is not something, this is what, the personal branding thing is not rocket science, but it's being made to be rocket science because that's how people make money. But here's my take on building a personal brand, right? And I've been doing this for 10 years. And, there'll be lots of people telling you, do this, do that, do the other, tell your backstory and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is probably the easiest thing that will give you a huge sigh of relief about building this personal brand thing. Because often what happens is we go on this journey of discovery of, trying to build stuff and color schemes and logos and what's our brand voice and all that kind of stuff. And the problem is it's very hard to capture who you truly are in a snapshot. It's very hard to do that. And actually the exercise of trying to do it is probably what's confusing you more than anything else. Your personal brand is really simple. It's who I am. And all you have to do is convey who you are. And for a lot of people, they think that it's writing down some things on paper and then being like that. And what happens is then you end up with a performative brand. In other words, you're playing up to a one-dimensional person you've put on paper or on a doc. The reality is there are some days and there's some days when I'm jovial, and building that personal brand is basically letting people get to know you. That's really what it is, right? There's some bits of you that you're never going to share, private life stuff, but it's about helping people get to know you and you showing up as yourself. And I'm going to get all kind of deep and meaningful here for a minute. So the problem is not what is my personal brand and how do I convey it. It's you figuring out who you are. Because we go through life so fast and people say, do this, do that we end up doing all sorts of stuff and not really figuring out who we are. And then we think, oh, I must be this person to build that brand, or I must be this person. It's just being yourself. It really is just being yourself. And if you've come from like a corporate world, maybe you've worked in corporate for a long time, or, let's be honest, the world is far more liberal than it used to be. It's far more open and accepting and inclusive. You probably contained yourself into, a very one-dimensional version of you, and getting that out is quite difficult. I grew up in a very religious household. Religious upbringing, not religious household. Religious upbringing, and church every twice a day and all that kind of stuff. And so you get conditioned to live a certain way, and you say things and don't say things, and you think things, and the way you see the world is different. So a lot of that stuff gets put into you from life. And then the real powerful personal brands are the people who are in touch with who they really are. And sadly, a lot of personal branding online a lot of it is like people pretending to be somebody else, and that is flipping exhausting. It's draining, it really is. So the challenge with personal branding and how you do it is you just have to find yourself. And I'm going to give you a really simple exercise, right? Is if you start showing up just without worrying about it, you'll actually find who that personal brand is pretty quickly. So one of the things I do is I love doing lives. I've tried my best to do those pre-recorded videos where it's like 5 tips to do this. It's just not me. I don't like doing them. I go off script too easily. And we were talking the other day about when we did exams. We were on the road, and when we did exams, and I just noted something really interesting, and it kind of stuck with me, right? When I was doing my GCSE exams many, many years ago, sadly before most of the people who were doing in the car with me were born, I was doing my GCSEs, and my school attendance was shocking. My homework completion was shocking. And my exams, I was written off as, you're not going to get anywhere. Because I couldn't do the homework on time, didn't show up on time, did all that stuff, right? Went to do the exams, sat them down, and blew the teachers away with my results. They literally thought D, 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 D. But when I showed up in the moment, I was the best version of me. And for years, I've never connected this, that actually I am very good in the moment. I'm just very good in the moment. I can think on my feet. I can talk on my feet. I can analyze situations in the moment. But you try and put me in front of a camera and do 5 tips to do this, it's not going to happen. And so, interestingly, that's exactly where I am today. That I'm very good in the moment. So that's why I like doing lives and don't like pre-recording videos. And maybe I should fix that. But I'm just tacking into who I am. And that is kind of personal branding. Is the reality is you figure out who you are and you go on a journey with that. So for me, it was trying to do videos and realize I can't do these pre-recorded videos. So I do lives. And when you realize what you're comfortable in and what you just go with it. And some people will say to me, and some people will be thinking now, but Dean, I can't just tack into what works for me, right? Because I've got to appeal to people. And this is where we go wrong. Because what we end up doing is, how do I build a personal brand that appeals to people? And in effect, what we're saying is, how do I create a persona that people will like? And that's the wrong thing. And that seems to be, it's not what people are saying online, but it is in effect what they're telling you to do. Find a persona that people will like. And the real power in personal branding, the real power in building that brand that connects with people is not finding the persona, it's finding yourself. Because like the world's told us we should be this, we should be that, we should do this. We've been in corporate careers where you don't say anything, you don't do anything risky, you just play the game. We've been in all those situations. But when you find yourself and you be yourself online, that is powerful. Have you ever met those people where they're really fascinating to be around because there's something powerful about them because they feel like they're secure in who they are? I think that's what real powerful personal branding looks like. The people who like know who they are and are really comfortable in who they are and share who they are. Now, to answer that question of, well, yeah, but I need to build a personal brand that warms to people. If you try and build a performative brand where you step into, a character to be liked, you will end up a very miserable individual because you'll basically be putting on an act. Whether you call it this or not, you'll be stepping into a performance that isn't really you. And the reality is what we want is people to engage with us and connect with us because it's us. That's us. So, people say, how do I stand out online? Be yourself. Say what you really think. Connect with who you really are. And the tribe will either love you or hate you. and so afraid of people not liking us that we kind of try and appeal to people, but actually that takes us further away from who we really are. So like when you're thinking about this and going, who am I? Don't be afraid to share it, because there'll be other people who are like you. There'll be other people who are like you and think in your way and have ideas that are similar to yours and resonate with you. And they're the people who'll connect with you. You know, it's similar to, like, for an example, could you imagine if I hate wearing suits, right? I don't even own a suit anymore. God help me if somebody dies, I'm gonna have to buy one, right? I don't own a suit. The only suit I've worn, wore in the last few years. One was when I was running for elected office in the UK. That was fun. That was a bit of fun. And when I got married. Yeah. So they're the only suits I've worn in recent years. So imagine if I went, okay, do you know what? I'm going to build my personal brand and I want to appeal to corporate executives. And then I did this massive transformation. And every time you saw me now, I was in suit and tie, right? Now, if I got applause and engagement and all that kind of stuff or wore a suit and tie, that would feel good for a while. And then eventually I'd go, I don't like this. I don't like who I am. I don't like what I've become. I don't feel comfortable. And every time I get passionate about something I want to share, I'd have to restrain it because of this persona I've built. What we need to do is find out who we are. I am not everybody's cup of tea, and you're not everybody's cup of tea. And for a long time, for me, I would try and be everybody else's cup of tea. And that probably held me back by 10 years. I would have been 10 years further on if I had not done that. If I'd not realized, I'm me, I'm going to own who I am. And, some people won't like it. And some people will like other people better than me. And some people will hang around me because of me. And maybe I'm just talking nonsense. I speak to people, the more I think that they're trying to find this out there. And it's actually in here. It's actually in here. It's how we see the world. It's how we think. It's our personality coming out. Not being just crazy, not just joining LinkedIn Live and saying, hey, just waiting to see who joins and random shit. I'm talking about connecting with an audience is about you being yourself and you sharing things from your perspective. And that's how you build a personal brand. It's how branding is about people having a consistent experience with you. It's about having a unique angle. It's about having, a way of doing things that is uniquely you. In other words, that the things that you do, people can kind of predict that that's something that you would do. Yeah. Like McDonald's has a brand, right? You walk into a McDonald's here in Louisiana, and you walk into one in Texas, and you walk into one in London. A lot of the experience is the same. Yeah. They have more or less a consistent experience. That's personal branding for you. That in every encounter they have, there is a consistent, and that's really what we're trying to get to here. Personal branding is a consistent experience. The consistent experience is to figure out who you are. And here's the good bit. You can take people on that journey as you go. Yeah. You don't have to, right? You don't have to kind of map all this out and then go, right, I've got to stick to that. You can actually evolve and people can grow with you and people can see your evolution. And along the way, and I've had this, along the way, some of those people will drop off because the person you become isn't the same. Some people will not like your journey, or it might not be for them. And other people you'll find along the way. And I think we need to have a bit more of a chilled out approach to this personal branding, because so much is being put about trying to be perfect. I really think, and Gary Vee's talked about this as well, that AI, social media and the way we've become so performative on social media. So we've got, if you think about what's going on at the moment, we've got AI creating lots of stuff and enabling people to do things that they couldn't do before. And some of that is meaning they're stepping out of who they really are and becoming a better person. And for some people, it's creating a new person that isn't them. So you've got AI, right, which is brilliant. I love AI, but it's also making it harder to know what's true. It's making it harder to know what's real and authentic and all of those things. So there is a truth issue or an authenticity issue going on with AI, a journey that's going to happen. You've then also got social media, which is also going through this authenticity truth, whereby you can buy fake reviews, you can amp up your posts, you can buy likes, followers. So not everything is as it seems. So you've got this perception going on, and there's a massive backlash building against influencers and people who are living lies, pretending that they're successful because they get engagement when actually they're struggling. So there's this whole authenticity piece and trust and truth and genuineness issue building. And you can get ahead of that by just being yourself. Yeah, just being yourself. One of the great things about TikTok is it's allowed people to just use their phone and go live and talk to people and stuff like that, right? And that's brilliant. But I think there's a new wave of stuff coming where people just want people to be themselves, not the scripted version, not the fake version, not the I'm putting the Hollywood version on so that you love me. They want the real version. And the more technology we've got that connects us, the more we want depth of connection. And so your personal brand is going to be a journey for you to not build it, find it. Not build it, find it. It's inside you. It's not out there. There's not some template that you can build. You got to find it. Who am I really? That's the journey, right? There's no worksheet. There's no build a brand in 30 seconds or 90-day personal branding journey you can go on there, because it's you. You got to figure out, who the hell am I? Yeah, who am I consistently? Because sometimes we go rogue, don't we? So who am I consistently? Find that and get the confidence to put it out there, and that's baby steps, right? I would not 10 years ago have come on a live and just spitballed with you about what I'm thinking, right? I've gone on a journey of getting used to that, right? So start the journey. So for me, it's not recording videos and doing 5 tips to do this. It's me talking to you like this. Start that journey of figuring out who you are. Start putting that out. And as you put it out, you'll find out, you'll start to find out who resonates. And just become yourself. Just become yourself. Have something to say. There's some topics that are really important to you. Have something to say, of course, but put it out there. Stop worrying about trying to be liked, right? And I know that's easy for me to say, right? It's not easy to do, right? Let's be honest. It's not easy to do. But what you find is if you try and do things to be liked, you start not doing the things that will help you. You start to hedge what you say. You start to think, well, what if that person doesn't like, and you just screw yourself up. You're not doing this to be liked. You're doing this so people find out who you are, and some of those people will connect and resonate. Yeah, I say this a lot, but you need to think about this, right? When you try and appeal to everybody, you are basically saying, I am not going to do anything that repels anyone. And a personal brand, right, should repel the wrong people. It's not going to get anybody excited. It's not going to get anybody passionate about who you are. So, I know you know all this, right? I know you know all this. The issue is that knowing something and doing it or living it are two different things. I know, for an example, I know that there's certain things I should change and do, But to actually do them, they have to become more real. They have to sink in a little bit. And you know this too. You know that you have to be yourself online. You know what you have to share what you think. And we're not talking, become Andrew Tate here, right? So let's not go to the extreme. You know you have to share who you really are. But because you've been, living life conforming, basically, you're not sure who that person is. You're not sure how you define that person. And so there's no worksheet that can do that for you. You have to literally go, what do I really think, and start talking about it. And I don't like getting all woolly and stuff, but it's like a little journey of self-discovery where you figure out who you really are. And then you put that out there in baby little steps. So some things might feel scary. So like you might be on the journey now where you thought, I can't just go live and say what I think. You might not want to go live at all. That's up to you. And I'll finish up in a minute because there's one question that somebody asked me yesterday, and I think it's a really good question. They asked me about videos on social media. Video seems to perform the best. And I said, it's true. It is. It's hands down. Video is the best medium right now. Now, whether that changes in the future, who knows, right? Everything goes round in circles. So video is popular right now. I'm sure something else will become popular, and that's how it goes. So they said, if videos are more popular, should we do more videos? And I said, not necessarily. And this is important. Yes, videos are important. Yes, carousels are important. Text posts are important. Twitter's important, or X is important. Instagram's important. But at the end of the day, you've got to do what works for you. If you're not comfortable with video, if you're awkward on video, that's going to be a problem for you. And so I'm not saying don't do video. What I'm saying is, if you're not comfortable doing video, that will show up. You will struggle to sustain it. And so it might be better for you to not do video at all, because if you're not comfortable with it, you're never going to see it through. You're never going to, relax and enjoy what you're doing. And then you'll never sustain it. And so you can build an audience on any medium. You can build an audience on any channel, right? It just has to be a channel that is comfortable for you, because otherwise you won't see it through. You'll force yourself to try and do something that goes against how you are, how you're wired, and all that stuff. And that will show up in your consistency. It will show up in what you do on that channel and the way you do it. And of course, there will always be a reason to put it off if it's not comfortable. So this is what I'm saying about this whole thing. Yes, there's you should do this and you should do that and you should do that. But part of the journey of personal branding is finding the bit that you can do in all of that stuff. And that means knowing yourself, and then building an audience where people get to know you, the real you. That's what you've got to do. So, my new statement is, my big thing at the moment is, because of all the questions I've had, is you don't build your brand, you find your brand. And that starts inside. So do I really want to do videos? Is that really the best communication format for me? How do I feel about these topics really? Some of you might go through it and go, do you know what? I'm talking about something I don't care about. Maybe you've been doing something. Maybe you're in a profession that you're building a business around that you don't actually care about. And that's scary, but maybe you just have to go, do you know what? I got to do it. Now, you don't have to do that tomorrow, but for some of you, you're in the wrong place. Yeah, and the reason you don't realize you're in the wrong place is because you don't know yourself. And you've got to dig in and figure that out. And I know I'm not really talking about social media, and Dean, you're out of your lane here, right? No, if you want to build a personal brand, that's deeply about you. Yeah, your social media, building that connection with people, is about you. It's not really about it's not about the channel. It's not really about LinkedIn or YouTube. It's about people connecting with you. And if you don't know who the hell you are, and you can't build that brand, and you can't find that audience that like the way you do things, like your style, like your perspective. So it is a tricky one. It's not easy, right? But the work's inside. It's not external. It's internal to figure that out so you can put that out. You got to figure it out to put it out. So I'm going to shut up now because I've been going for 25 minutes. And technically the algorithm says you shouldn't do long videos and long lives. So I'm in trouble already. Look, have a great rest of your afternoon UK, morning US. If this has resonated, let me know. Drop me a message. If I'm rambling and you're wondering what medication I'm on, let me know as well.